You're listening to Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio. Good day, I'm Ricky Hawthorn, and welcome to the show. On my drive-in this morning, I was speedily overtaken by a car full of whippersnappers, pipsqueaks, and good-for-somethings. I couldn't tell what they were chanting, but it certainly did look like fun. So today, only partly because I've got nothing else planned, I thought I'd pay tribute to those young people by telling you a few stories from my glory days. For those of you who don't know how I spent my formative years, I was born, bred and buttered right here in 2 Point County before attending what was then called 2 Point University. I think it's still called that now, but it was then too. Right, top drawer anecdotes coming up, but first, here's another toe tapper. When it comes to food, sometimes simple living is happy living. Don't get me wrong, I'm incredibly lucky to eat a wide range of things nowadays, from chicken sandwiches to pastas of seemingly infinite shapes and lengths. But I'll never forget that time at university when I lived off an enormous block of cheddar. I was said to be mostly cheese by the end of term, and, I think they were right. One summer, some friends and I headed north on a fisherman's pilgrimage to Tumble. I tell you, there's no freedom like it. Just a group of mates, their matching bucket hats, and a case of antique fishing flies. Pure bliss. It may come as a surprise to some of you, but the young Hawthorn was something of a prankster. Yes, once at school, the gang and I bought several thousand soft drawing pencils, and in the dead of night, swapped them with our school supply of much harder standard issue pencils. I only wish you could have seen the look on Mr. Featherbridge's face when he tried taking registration the next morning. Oh, the man was livid. Unfortunately, two of the boys were expelled for breaking and entering. Don't trespass, kids. I want to stress that I don't think a young person's life is all fishing trips and A-grade hijinkery. No. I also took a great deal of substance from the many mentors and role models in my young life. I'll never forget the professor who took my Introduction to Advanced Thinking course at university. He once told me, "Ricky, I don't think you'll ever understand what I'm saying." And he was right. A very wise man, that one. Thanks for joining me on a lovely walk down memory lane. Before we go, I just wanted to remind you that glory days aren't just for the young amongst us. In truth, there's nowhere I'd rather be than here, with you, at 2 Point Radio. Today's show was sponsored by Bungle Kitty Litter, the litter tray that'll make your critter's day. Welcome to the show. I'm Richard E. Hawthorn, and you join me today for 2 Point Radio's Election Day Special. We'll be talking all things mayoral as 2 Point County approaches another important day in its history, and indeed, its future. Get in touch to tell us what you're thinking and how you're feeling. Who will be the next mayor of 2 Point County? You decide. We're back. Today's election sees incumbent Mayor Tabitha Winsock take on all challenges. One such foe is Gumbo McNally. Yes, the cousin of Jumbo CEO, Jumbo McNally. Ms. Winsock has held a steady, some say tedious lead in the polls over Mr. McNally. But what effect, if any, will his last gasp speech have on today's proceedings? If you missed it, Mr. McNally finished a rousing 12-minute display with a story of how he once took a modest pile of change from his father and turned it into an impressive lunchtime spread featuring sandwiches, crisps, and sausage rolls. Oh, now that is impressive. This from Michelle in Smogley. I spoke to Mayor Winsock after a Q&A once and told her that I'd written her a letter. She said that she remembered reading it, but I'd never sent it to her. So what? Did she break into my house? Or is she, telepathic, but just with post? What a lovely anecdote, Michelle. And aren't we lucky to have a mayor that's willing to go above as well as beyond? It's election day here in 2 Point County. Who else remembers the year they tried to hold the election through a bungle-made phone application? It's amazing to think that we'll never know whether the app didn't work or if no one voted that year. That's the mysterious wonder of pioneering technology. Anyway, here's hoping that this year we'll get some votes in. Here's a word from Jeffrey in Blyton. I, for one, think things have been all right, but could they have been better? I think I speak for everyone when I say, yes, maybe they could have. Well, thanks for your time, Jeffrey. Wise words. The witching hour is almost here, and this journalist's heart is positively beating with legislative excitement. But while we wait for the final count, I'll leave you with this. I spoke to my neighbour last weekend, and he informed me that he never decides his vote until he's in the booth, giving that fateful cross to whichever candidate has the funnier name. Just goes to show we're all a bit of method and all a bit of madness. The votes are in, and we're hearing that it's a landslide victory for Mayor Tabitha Windsock. Some people are bound to be pleased, while others must be feeling something else entirely. What we do know is that democracy has triumphed, meaning that, yet again, the people of 2 Point County will be getting what they asked for. We've made our bed, and now it's time to sleep in it. Good night. You're listening to Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio. Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio. Today I balanced two hats jauntily on my one singular head. My regular disc jockeying hat is joined by my occasional chef hat. Yes, I'll be taking you all over 2 Point County as I recount my latest culinary travels when I set out to find the finest foods our great county has to offer. Just a hungry man and his hatchback. It's a tale as old as time. The culinary world is a lot like the real world. There are places, there are smells, there's a chance you'll get lost. After a series of wrong turns, now 60 miles off course, I was treated to the first food of my trip. A wondering puffed pastry and something I believe to be meat. The buttery sausage-style matter mingled playfully with hints of pine from my air freshener. It was unexpected. It was dangerous. It was cold in the middle. If you ask me, Hogsport boasts the finest milkshakes in 2 Point County. At the Oily Cormorant, they'll serve you a traditional malt in an old leather boot and throw in a salt and vinegar egg. You just cannot beat it. Milkshakes are a great tradition. They're in our blood. In fact, I once received medical attention after enjoying a few dozen shakes and was told that my blood was over 60% ice cream. How we laughed. I'm a huge fan of Yeti cuisine. Yes, our neighbours to the north really know their way around a kitchen, from stews and pickles to 5-tiered sandwiches, and, of course, their pies. Cold hands make the boldest pastry, after all, and it is freezing up there. You really must try it. It's the food of the people, and those people are Yetis. I was famished when I arrived at the Royal Tumble Hotel, so much so that I took advantage of my kitchenette and feasted greedily on some toast. When I returned from a walk, I was stunned to find that all crumbage had been decrumbled. The bed was made and the toilet spotless. Every sign of life had been washed away. You've got to ask yourself, had I really been staying here? Indeed, do I exist at all? Lovely stuff. This trip was all about regional delights and cultural differences. One man's casual vol-au-vent is another's world-shattering epiphany. The people of Smogly have been crusting and dusting their fish for as long as anyone can remember. But at the recently opened What's the Batter, they use a unique cheesy gubbin crumb. Ho 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 ho! I can safely say that it was the cheesiest fish this DJ had ever eaten. That's a winner. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I enjoyed my trip around this wonderful, mysterious county of ours. But for now, all of this talk about food has made me hungry. So I'm off to the fridge to take out the first thing I find and cover it in mayonnaise. Until next time, I've been Ricky Hawthorn. Cheers! Now that's easy listening. The sound of 2 Point County on 2 Point Radio. You're listening to 2 Point Radio. This is Ricky Hawthorn. It's a few minutes past something. We'll check on those numbers while you listen to some music. It's funny how your routines can change after all these years. Lately, I've been enjoying a bowl of hog logs in the morning. It's true what they say in the advert. There just wasn't enough pig in my morning. This next song is for the hog log lady. Recently, while walking home, I was chased into a tree by a group of students barking like dogs. I went into a primal state of self-preservation, hissing at them like a feral cat. I've learned since that it was some kind of initiation for a society. Oh, I suppose now that I know it was a joke, I can see the funny side. Ha! Young people, eh? The terrifying scamps. You're listening to Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio. Here's the weather. Things are looking cold on the pointy mountains. You might want to wear a second pair of shoes. I suppose skis are technically a second pair of shoes. What they lack in terms of providing warmth, they make up for by being a lot like very thin toboggans. Play that music. I recently joined an amateur plumbing club. Oh, it's a lot of fun. The pipes, the tools, the rush when you blow a valve. The competitive element is one thing, but it's also great training for when something goes wrong at home. After all, with the right attitude and a little experience, there's no problem you can't make worse. In the news today, pop star Jasmine Odyssey has everybody talking after sharing an image of a spatula. Fans are debating whether this latest post is a cryptic suggestion of music to come or simply a kitchen-based mistake. It's hard to say, but what is clear is that we'll be discussing it for days. That's the end of our show, but I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Here's to that. Here's to time's relentless advance. Here's to you, 2 Point County. Playing us out, we've got an absolute firecracker. Good night. You're listening to Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio. You're listening to Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio. Hello there, it's Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio, where today we'll be asking the question, do slow news days prompt needless questions? You won't be able to miss it. Later in the week, I'll be talking to the Boogie Nights. Those metal-clad funk makers are equal parts gallantry and groovy groove music. Knights and chivalry were first popular hundreds of years ago, of course, but isn't it funny how these trends come around? Stay courtly, kids! I recently spent a weekend away on Pebbly Island, a beautiful locale in our proverbial neck of the metaphoric woods, where I stayed in a luxury hotel. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Ricky, you've changed. It's true, I do it all the time. I hardly recognize myself. Next up, mirrors. What are they looking at? And now the news and today's top story. Sensitive government documents first thought recovered are now feared to be deli meats. Now that is a shame, but at least there's a salty silver lining. What's a little cyber insecurity when you've got a face full of ham? Nice one. Wasn't that a smashing tune? I'd have been tapping my toe from hither to yon if I wasn't completely tone deaf. Did you know that I'm also situationally tone deaf? Yes, I just cannot read a situation. I have one speed, and that's Ricky. There's another craze sweeping our county's youth. The so-called cheesy gob-off asks challengers to see how many cheesy gubbins they can stuff into their unsuspecting gobs. Competition is a wonderful thing, don't you think? It brings us all together and fills our mouths with cheese. We are nearing the finish line today, but first our producers wouldn't let me leave without trying my hand at the cheesy gob-off. Play that music while I gob on down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've done 16. You get me straight. I've been Ricky Hawthorn. See you around. That's quite nice. That's so very cheesy. Ricky Hawthorn waxing the waves lyrically and literally on 2 Point Radio. Why don't you listen to this next track and I'll take that pebble out of my shoe. We've got breaking news for you on 2 Point Radio. A zoo worker at the Crockle Bay Zoo has fallen into the gibbon enclosure. It's been reported that they're not under any immediate danger and zoo officials are currently negotiating with the gibbons for the employee's release. Sometimes I get asked what I would have done had I not gone into the disc jockeying trade. Well, as a young boy, I dreamed of being a spy. Yes, I pined for a life of international intrigue and late-night dinners at the county's expense. Sadly, to be a spy, you need to be able to whisper, and I just can't do it. When it comes to disclosing secrets, you don't want my persistent volume and crystal clear intonation. And we've got an update for you on the story of the zoo worker that fell into the gibbon enclosure. We're now hearing that the employee is rising through the gibbon's social structure. Fascinating stuff. There's no word on what gibbons are, but I believe they're a kind of amphibious cat. Little smooth creatures with whiskers and a big bushy tail. Fantastic. We're joined by Professor Hamish Curlybags of the Pebbly Frog Sanctuary, who tells me gibbons are nothing like an amphibious cat. What's going on, Hamish?
That's right, Ricky. Gibbons are actually, they're land mammals and apes, much like ourselves, but with very long arms.
Apes, you say? Well, I never. Thanks for joining us, Professor. There's nothing I like more than being corrected on air. It's time for Chef Ricky's morsel of the day. You can buy breadcrumbs from any self-respecting supermarket or interweb parlor replacement service, but there's something to be said for doing it the old-fashioned way, by throwing the loaf against a brick wall until it disintegrates into a fresh and flaky nothingness. It'll take a good couple of hours, but boy is it worth it. We've got breaking news and a surprise twist from the gibbon enclosure. The zoo worker, first thought lost to the diminutive apes, has become their leader. They claim to have learned to love the gibbons, their way of life, and their disproportionately lengthy arms. So, instead of going to work in the zoo every day, they'll just be living there, I suppose. That's one way to skip the morning traffic. I've been Ricky Hawthorn. Good night. You're listening to 2 Point Radio, the place your ears call home. We've got a barnstorming show for you today, but before we kick down the door and go straight for the valuables, soak in some sonic excellence. Play that track and we'll be right back. In the news today, I seem to have sat on something sharp. We're not sure exactly what it is or what the consequences might be, but we'll update you as soon as we know more. Can you see it? Look at that. Is it in me? Tell me it's not in me. Wouldn't you know, I'd sat on a sprig of holly from yesterday's lunch. That's the risk you run when adding a little pizzazz to your meal. But that won't stop me. It's not the first piece of holly I've sat on, and it certainly won't be the last. 2 Point Radio, the station that puts the stabilizers on the bike of your day. It's Ricky Hawthorn. The time is... Anyone got the time? No? They told me I'd regret putting sundials in the booth. There aren't even any windows, they said. Oh, how we laughed. More timeless radio after this silky little number. Chef Ricky here, bringing you a morsel of the day. We all like a boiled egg, but wouldn't you love one on the go? Just imagine, you're stuck in traffic and bang, a boiled egg just for you. You see, eggs have a casing or shell that's perfect for keeping the eggs safe. Why, I've got 2 boiled eggs in my pocket right now. Give it a try. I've just eaten a pocket egg. How are you? I must remember to boil another batch and take them to my next book club meeting. Yes, I've been in a book club since I was a boy, and this is my 5th attempt at The Salty Minstrel, one of the county's first books. I really do struggle with the old language. In fact, I think the only words that are the same are salty and minstrel. You'd think it was enough, but it's not. It's time for the question of the week. We asked, which instrument is the funniest? We had some great replies, including quite a few we can't read on air. You're a vulgar lot, you really are. Knock knock. Who's there? The answer. The answer who? The answer is the trombone. Now that is funny. I'll be laughing until next time. Fare thee good and fare thee well. Good night.
Ricky Hawthorn on 2 Point Radio.
It seems like everybody wants to take a trip in space. Personally, I'm not sure I fancy it. You see, I do like to know my way around. And in space, there's no up or down, no north and south. And I can't tell my asteroids from my elbow. You're listening to Ricky Hawthorn, scared and disorientated, on 2 Point Radio. Welcome back. I'm Sickly Hawthorn, coughing and sneezing on 2 Point Radio. Later in the show, I'll be heading to the local medical campus for a routine checkup and experimental treatments. I've always felt that healthcare is like getting a haircut. Sure, it's important, but sometimes I want it done on the cheap by someone with limited experience and the confidence to match. It was a sad day when 2 Point University, my alma mater, closed its doors. Of course, Jumbo Megacorp had purchased the old campus with plans to turn it into the county's deepest swimming pool. But many of us have stayed hopeful that one day TPU would rise from its soggy, chlorinated ashes and find a new home in 2 Point County once again. Wouldn't that be nice? Ah, Noblestead, the town where every day is yesterday. Yes, some may say that theirs is a community stuck in the past. But one man's dark ages is another man's time-honoured tradition. And what are traditions, if not things we're still doing? Oh, it really makes you think. I have many a fond memory on the shores of Breaking Point. I like to think of it as the county's caper capital, its hijinkery hotspot for the shenanigan and hanging lot. The last time I was there, I saw a beach ball shaped like a lemon. Ha! If you can imagine such a thing. What will they think of next? Sport holds a precious, almost vague place in my heart. Do I know much about it? Maybe not, but that doesn't stop me from holding it very dear. Yes, bats, rackets, and all those balls. There really is something for everyone when it comes to the proud tradition of sports in 2 Point County.